Matthew Kendall, and our special guest tonight, Joe Stripling. You're watching Champions Corner on the Spanglish World and H.E.R networks on Zingo TV, channel 250 and 251. Please remember to download both the Zingo TV app on the respective app stores and iOS and Android devices. While you download, make sure to rate and leave a comment. This app is completely free. Zingo TV is also available on Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire and Fire TV sticks, Roku and Roku sticks, and all smart TVs 2016 forward. Like I said, tonight's guest is Bazooka Joe Stripling. He's a professional Muay Thai fighter and also has fought some pro MMA bouts. He coaches and owns his own martial arts club. And he's going to be fighting on UFC Fight Pass on March 12th with Lion Fights, North American Heavyweight Title Tournament. The semifinals for that are taking place that night, and Joe is set to face Terrence Hodges. How you doing tonight, Joe?
Good, guys. Thanks for having me.
No sweat. And I get a little introduction to my co-host here. This is my Kickboxer co-host. He's also a professional Muay Thai fighter, so he's got his own list of questions. I'm sure he's super excited to shoot off to you as well, Joe.
Absolutely.
Joe, we were chatting a little bit Messenger, and I was telling you how excited I was to talk about your cartwheel kick and how you knocked a guy out. It was literally the only time I've ever seen someone land and knock someone out with a cartwheel kick. My jaw dropped the floor. I was also telling you, when I went to Budapest for Wacko Worlds, I landed a spinning back kick. So we got into like a little back and forth. You were saying you thought a spinning back kick was cooler, and I was saying, no way, cartwheel kick, hands down, you win. Matt, what do you think?
Yeah, the Sanchez kick is quite spectacular. And man, someone your size in that heavyweight category, bro, it was pretty impressive, I must say.
I really appreciate that. It was definitely something I've thrown in a couple MMA fights before. Like back when you guys mentioned I have some MMA fights. I just throw it in training a lot, like on the bag. We drill it, like just it's fun to do. And like when you're play sparring, it's cool to do it. And I just saw like an opening and I threw it so it landed. But in my opinion, I think the spinning back kick is way cooler because you have to place that kick at the perfect spot to make that person sit down. Like for me, like a spinning back kick and you land a heel on the liver, that means everything to me. Like I did karate for 15 years. So that comes into play when I do some martial arts, when I do some Muay Thai. So a spinning back kick, if you can land that perfectly, I think that's more spectacular than a cartwheel kick. Yes, I'm a heavyweight. So when my big leg comes over the top, probably going to knock somebody out. It is what it is. But yeah, it was a cool thing to throw. And it went pretty viral on Reddit there for almost 1 million views in less than 12 hours or 500,000, something like that. So it was cool.
Impressive, definitely.
But if we're talking difficulty factor, I mean, like anyone I think can do a spinning back kick. It's like a relatively easy thing to do, but the agility and like even like the flexibility to do a cartwheel kick, I still think it's the harder kick to land for sure.
I appreciate that. I mean, I appreciate that. My trainers think it's pretty funny. I throw that stuff all the time. Like I have other crazy moves I do, and they're just like, what in the heck is going on? You're 265 pounds. What are you doing right now? And my trainer always says, I train and spar like a 145er. Like I move so fast and I'm like fast twitch muscles, I guess, for being my size. So I'm just excited, man. I'm just excited to fight. And I like throwing crazy stuff to make it spectacular for good knockout.
For sure. Matt, I'll shoot it over to you and you can start us off with first question.
Awesome. Once again, it's a pleasure having you on the show. I've watched some of your footage. I've watched a couple of your fights. And, the first question I'm going to start with is definitely in these times, the COVID issues. Leading up with this camp, are you finding issues of, I know here in Canada, pad work is you have to go underground. You can't be doing it in the gym. I don't know what the restrictions are for you there. Has COVID issues affected your training camp, affected you? Have you had to kind of take it to different spots? What have you done differently with these COVID issues?
So definitely this camp, I've just been going to my actual crew, H.E.R. I've been driving about 2 hours to his gym. twice a week and going to our sister school at Burning Spirits Muay Thai. We're all under a Sit-Ya-Tong banner. So we all train together. We're all a big family. We've all started at the same gym, and now we all own our own gyms. So we all train together on Fridays. I go see my trainer. But COVID really hasn't been too bad here, thankfully. We're in the Northeast, like corridor, and that's been pretty locked down. So March of last year, we were completely locked down till June with nothing. And I think that's where it got tough, because for me as a coach, even if I'm not training, I'm always focusing on everybody else. And I'm sure you know that being a trainer as well. So my mental stability was my main concern. So the first couple of weeks of quarantine for us, I just wanted to have a couple beers, and it turned into a couple beers every night. Then it turned into a couple more beers every more and more. And then for 2-3 months, I was like just drinking. I was like, man, what's going on right now?
Yeah.
And beers always make your weight go up a little bit. So I never really thought about it. And I had guys trying to come back, and people driving from 5 hours, 6 hours away to come do pad work with me. Like you said, underground, like not telling anybody we're here. And I didn't really do anything for myself, honestly, until about September. I started being like, whoa, I need to kind of do some stuff. And my students were actually the ones that really pushed me and were like, you need to train. You're getting a little fat. And I was like, oh, man, this isn't good. And then Scott H.E.R called me from Lion Fight and was like, we're booking fights. We're getting ready for next year. Like, what's up with your gym? And I told him we were starting to open up. And I went from pretty good student base all the way down to 12. So that was my main concern, was building it all back up. And then I got the fight booked at the end of December, and I was just like, all right, it's time to focus on camp. And I actually been training more now than I have in probably years, man. Like with a trainer, not just me hitting a bag or me doing conditioning at myself. Like I have friends who help me out. I have a lot of personal trainers who train at my gym are like, hey, do this week, get your explosive power, you're getting close to camp, or just go lift heavy tomorrow, like burn your arms and legs out, just things like that. And I really appreciate everybody's help, and my sponsor's been behind me so much. And honestly, I feel great, to be honest with you. Like I really do. And it's kind of scary how good I feel, because I haven't really felt this good for a fight in a long time. So we'll see how it goes next Friday.
We're going to see a real Bazooka Joe, right?
I hope so, man. Like I've never felt great for a fight. I've never been to a fight at about 100%. Every fight you go in injured a little bit, something happens or whatever, but I've never been so close to 100% right now than I ever have. So I'm excited to see what happens.
The other guy.
Huh?
Scary for the other guy.
I don't know if it's scary. I just think like it's scary for myself, not knowing what's going to happen. Personally, like it's being excited. Like I love the fight. Like I'm a KO fighter. I go to try and knock people out. So I think that now this time, if I have explosive power like I've been working on, and I think I can land some stuff that people aren't going to be expecting, and go out there and showcase why I think I'm the best heavyweight in the world, personally.
Amazing. Sounds like the fire's lit.
Yeah, man, it is.
A couple more questions for you before I throw it back to Steph.
Okay.
Watching your fights, and typically in Thai fights, you generally see that most Thai fighters are slow starters. And watching some of your footage, I noticed that, you're a slow starter. And myself, too, I started out in my career like that as well. But I also noticed you being a slow starter, you kind of wear out these big muscle guys. And all of a sudden, there's so much more gas in the tank for you. Is that a game plan for you? Is this something you intend to do? Or is it just you're a slow starter?
I've always been a slow starter. When I fought MMA, I was always a slow starter in MMA. And I didn't realize that it was a Thai style until I started training like strict Muay Thai. And like when we're training our Thai style, like our first round of pad work at the gym isn't at 100%. You're kind of feeling out your partner, trying to play around. So it just kind of embedded in my brain to do that. But being a slow starter has its positives and negatives. Like obviously the positive, I have more cardio later down the end of the rounds. I think personally, I'm pretty good cardio anyway. I just think people with muscles, they get tired quick, man. Muscles mean oxygen to everywhere else. And when you have a big belly, man, and like not a lot of, like, look how small these are. Like not a lot of muscles. Like it just makes people be like, oh, this fat guy can't fight. And then I'm round 4, I'm still going forward, going strong,
Noticed.
Exactly. And then, but like also, I think that's a positive. But the negative is if they come out fast, like my last opponent in line fight, if he just had a little bit better technique, he might have knocked me out, or he might have caught me, or might have shut my leg down. Luckily, he was never kicking the same exact spot every single time. It was always off about 2 inches here or 2 inches there, up a little bit, little hook. And then when I started checking it, I noticed he was getting real tired. So luckily for me, I think I have really good technique as well. My trainer, H.E.R. Carner, and my gym, my guys at Chunky Athletics, they're pushing me every day to make my technique be as pristine as possible.
And I have one more question before I throw it right back to Steph. Was that the Bosnian bomber? Was that back in March? He's a fellow countryman from New Era Sports under Crew Jeff. And that's one of the fights I was watching. And I've seen him fight before. And when he came out and he was attacking that leg, and I did notice he wasn't hitting the same spot on the leg. And that's where I was going with that question. Do you feel that he came out really hard, really fast, and man, you weathered that storm and like a true professional. And I believe you're only 4 fights in at that time? Or?
Five. But yeah,
It's your 5th fight, yeah. And I was really, really impressed on how you weathered that storm and you came back. And that's what I meant. That was your game plan, or?
Actually, my trainer before the fight, that fight goes, "Hey, Joe, let's not take any real damage." And it was funny because I had just fought Cody about a year before for the line fight, first ever heavyweight fight on TV in America, and we were very excited to fight. And I just took a lot of punishment, like boxing wise, to my head. I wasn't really slipping. You know, the Thai style, to sit in the pocket and just like, let's go. Mm-hmm. And a lot of MMA guys are transitioning over, so you kind of have to move your head a little bit more, slips and some things like that. And I didn't really do that with Cody. So with Mirza, I had my hands up real high. You notice like my hands are like real disciplined here. I think that made him want to attack lower to the legs. Mm-hmm. Than I think he was trying to knock me out with the head. I talked to him afterwards. We had a great night afterwards. We had a whole bunch of bottles of tequila together. And let's just say that he told me that he knew my head was made of concrete and wanted to beat me down with my legs first. That's the game plan. So luckily, I have some big muscles in my legs, and I have a big belly to get my cardio going so I could withstand weather that storm.
Well, it was definitely a great job you did on that night.
Yeah, man. And I will say this, Crew Jeff from New York Combat Sports is one of my favorite coaches in Canada. He's got some really, really good people. I mean, he's a really good coach overall, like jiu-jitsu, wrestling, everything. But for his Muay Thai, he's got really good Muay Thai from Berklerk's style. They're all real good. Mirza's a little different than their style. So I planned for more of like a Thai style. And then he came out and I was like, whoa, what's going on right now? I need to be ready for everything. But it was great. And I was excited to fight him. And he had I think Rob Thomas was in his corner.
Rob Thomas from Glory.
Yeah, and he's awesome. And I first I thought I was fighting him. And then Mirza comes out and he's all like this. And I was like, oh, I'm fighting that guy. That's good. So, yeah. I was excited. Man. I don't care who I fight. I just love to fight. And that's just me being, I don't know, just a fighter, I guess. And I get excited. I don't have very many opportunities for many years to fight as a heavyweight. So now that I get opportunities to fight, I just take it and run with it best I can. He's actually from Canada. He was raised in right outside Ottawa, Oshawa, Canada. He played hockey, and he owns a gym down here called Function and Strength. And he took me for about 3 years and just kind of taught me what I need to do for my body. So I incorporate that a lot of stuff, like a lot of isometric stuff before anybody's really doing that. And just to get I'm a big guy, so I need a strong core, even if I have a stomach, because I have to move all my weight myself. And when guys hit me, I have to be able to take it, right? So we did a lot of core stuff with him, and then that's just me using his stuff. I use a lady named Balance by Emily. She's one of my students' wives. She just started doing that balance stuff, and honestly, it was probably the hardest workout I've had in years, just single leg holding things and going up to teep. My hamstrings were on fire. I was like, what is going on right now? Why do I feel like this? End of camp, I'm supposed to feel good. And she's like, you just need to work on a couple things. So I've been using her really well. And I have a personal trainer here at the gym that gives me workouts hey, I need you to eat a little bit less carbs this week and up your explosive training and things like that. And his name's Sean Leahy, and he's an ex-Marine here in America, as a vet. So I'm trying to help him out. He's trying to help me out. We're trying to build our programs together, our fitness program and my program here to Muay Thai. And then adding my trainer, I haven't really had a lot of pads with my trainer. He's been so far away, and he shuts his gym down for a little while to do some other things. And then he opened his gym back up, and we all branched out as our own team to open up our own gyms, like I said earlier. So when that happened, it was just me and then my students for such a long time. And I mean, honestly, for 3 fights, it was just me hitting the bag with zero pad work. I mean, luckily I have good technique and stuff that I was taught from H.E.R and from going to Thailand and Siatong, working on technique with Kru Tiao and Kru Toy, and they really helped me hone my skills. But sometimes there's no pad work for me. And also I'm really big, so getting a really good pad holder is tough. To take punishment, I have a kid here we call him Beefcake. His name is Mikey Sadlowski. He's the future of American Muay Thai. He's only 115 pounds. He holds pads for me 4 days a week. And I beat this kid up, and he takes it and keeps coming back for more and more and more. And then when it's his camp, he beats me up, and I have to take it and keep coming back for more and more and more. So we're exchanging stuff, and I'm excited, man. He's really good. He's got really good technique. And he was in Thailand. They were begging him to stay when we went last time. So when it opens back up, he'll be going to Thailand to live there. So I'm taking full advantage of him right now, best I can.
Joe, it's funny to hear you talk about your student like that, because I also had this conversation with Cody Carrillo, who's also fighting March 12th with Lion Fights. And Cody was saying it's kind of like training snakes to bite you. Like, these kids are coming for you, and you know it, and you're teaching them all your, highest level skill, and you're old and they're young and up and coming. So I thought it was like super funny to hear that way of describing it, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, and as a coach, like, I'm not going to teach. The sensei's not going to teach all the students everything. The grasshopper can't know everything. But when I'm done fighting, I can teach them everything. But the thing for me is, like, when I'm coaching, I'm just focused on them. Like, I'm not worried about myself. And then I have to make time for myself to train. With my guys this camp, they're like, no, bro, we're doing it together. We're all training together. You're jumping into class. You can tell us what to do, and we're going to do it together. For two months, man, I just been with my guys. Like, we train together as a team. We work out together. We do pad work together. We spar together. And I don't have any other heavyweights here in my gym. They're all like 185 and under. And I have to spar those guys who are super fast all the time. You know what I mean? So for me, I have to be ready for everything. They're explosive. I'm getting leg kicked by them at 100% or getting body kicked at 100%. And I can only go 65, 70%. So I don't hurt them and take them out, so they can't train and they can't help me out. And they're not going to get better. I mean, as a coach, we have to know those things. And I feel like it really helps me out a lot being able to play around with a place barn with all smaller guys. And then on Fridays, a whole bunch of big boys come over to our sister school in Philly, and we spar, and I get it in on Fridays. And it's a good time working elbows with big guys. I can land them without hurting anybody,
But it is good to spar with people lighter than yourself. I had this conversation with me and Matt's coach for Team Canada, and he said, like, it's good for control. Like, you're really focusing a lot on your technique and your control. So, like, you kind of learn how to pace yourself really well when you're fighting with those lighter fighters, for sure.
Yeah.
And I just want to talk a little.
Oh, sorry. My
Go
guys.
ahead, Joe. No, go ahead.
My guys go 12 rounds sparring, and I'm used to 5, maybe 6. So my rounds 6, 7 through 12, I'm exhausted. So now I need to work on my technique, my distance, my control, being my hands up so I'm not getting hit as much. Like, being a big guy, like, your cardio is always going to be less than a guy who weighs 130, 140, 160. So I have to learn to do these things while I'm tired. I really think that makes a huge difference. I think a lot of big boys, like especially MMA guys, only train with other big people. Mm-hmm. I like to train with a lot of small people because I need to work on some things, and I know they're going to be faster than me. So I need to be my reflexes faster, personally, in my own opinion. But then when I need to spar, like, I do make a couple of phone calls to some guys. I'm like, hey, do you mind if I come up? Or, hey, do you mind coming down for the day? During this lockdown for some of these states, like, some of these guys just can't come. So I can get it when I can get it, and I take full advantage of it. And I really appreciate all the guys who come over to Burning Spirits, Muay Thai in Philly, that come train with me on Fridays and make me get just that much better for each fight.
Joe, for the viewers out there who are wondering, what's the name of your martial arts club and where are you located?
So my name of my gym is called Chalk D Athletics. We're in Newark, Delaware. We're Delaware's only authentic Muay Thai school. There's a lot of MMA schools in Delaware that are surprising that there is, but there really are. I mean, there's a lot of kickboxing schools, but there's no one that teaches like strict Muay Thai. I don't even have my guys fight kickboxing rules. Our styles just don't match up. Like when the guy's jumping in and out, like when you fought Wacko or Waco, those guys are just jumping in and out a lot and throwing really heavy hands on leg kicks, where my guy wants to teep and control the distance and step into elbow and body kick off the angle. Like it's so different. So we don't have a ton of fights here in my gym. We don't have a ton of fighters, but we have a lot of guys who train. And once everything opens back up, I think like WKA's got Muay Thai and some other major organizations have Muay Thai. So we're trying to slide in slowly. And I think USA Muay Thai is starting to finally like get some stride, and some like Jackie Burt and Janet Todd fighting in one are giving people like opportunities. And Charles Johnson, TJ Thinking Man, he came from Thailand. His gym, if you watch his gym now, like I don't know if you guys watch, but his students are brand new and they're training like professional fighters. Like he doesn't have one class for an hour. Everything's an hour and a half, and you're training like you're in Thailand. Like it's awesome that it's blowing up like this, and it blows my mind that it's happening. It's been years since this has happened, like at all. Kevin Ross, Joe Schilling, Kai Hollenbeck, and that's about it for Romeo Danza. Maybe like that's like 5, 6, 7, 8 years old. Now we have guys like Jaleel Barnes, who's living in Thailand. Guys like Brett Halavacek, Onin Topchik. Like anybody from America now that's actually getting recognition is huge for us. And like Muay Thai Graham, it's on Instagram. They're showcasing all those guys. Scion Boxing. Like it's just great to watch other Americans get recognition that they deserve, and America get better as well at Muay Thai.
Mm-hmm. That's the one thing you and Matt have in common. Actually, Matt's been to Thailand as well. And you want to talk a little bit about that, Matt?
Yeah, actually, that was one of my questions. I guessed. I took a guess that you've been to Thailand for sure. I know going to Thailand and being fully absorbed before me going. I always fought Muay Thai, kickboxing, just because to fight whenever. But once the first time I went, it was an eye opener and a game changer. Do you feel that your time spent there, and I know you've said that it's molded and helped you and helped your technique, is it something you would tell and recommend to your students or anyone that's looking to do Muay Thai or train Muay Thai to go to Thailand and absorb the culture?
Yeah, I think the culture is the most important thing. Just being there, because everybody is immersed in Muay Thai. Once you go to, like, those people are fighting for money to put food on their table.
Yeah.
So they're treating this like a job. They're not going here to have fun and mess around. So when we went a couple years ago, my student Mikey Beefcake, he actually went for WK, made the national team, ended up winning the Muay Thai juniors division, which was great. Okay. And I was just in Bangkok. So we went to a couple gyms in Bangkok. It wasn't too crazy. We actually went to an outside park that was free to the kids who didn't really have money to go train Muay Thai. And I ended up training with Ranjit Stadium champion. I don't remember his name. I'm sorry. I wish I did. I held pads for him. We played around. Like, it was like very eye-opening to see like he was giving back in Thailand, and that's huge, right? So I gave that back here. I thought I brought that back when I came to America. And then my trainer, Crew Eric, he's been in Siatong since 2000, maybe earlier. We went to Siatong last year, and we trained for 2 weeks. It was a cut short trip. I was supposed to fight, so I cut my trip short. I come back home. The fight doesn't happen. I should have stayed in Thailand, to be honest with you. So I really like at Siatong, we're really focused on technique. I think that even though guys aren't training at 100% all the time, it's a more of a technical style gym, and the way we kick is slightly different. The way we move is slightly different. Like, they have a lot of young kids that are coming back up. Like, Siatong was good for such a long time. And then they went kind of like nowhere for a while, and all these other gyms pop up. Well, now they have these kids who they've been building up since little kids. And you can see it, like Super Bowl, H.E.R, who's from Siatong. He's fighting at Lumpini and runs the Durham Stadiums, and he's winning. He's knocking guys out in the fourth. And sometimes he goes to decisions just to get extra rounds in because of stuff being shut down and things like that. But bringing my students there, they were very it was eye-opening for them to realize that, like, I teach the same way that Siatong teaches. And they were excited about that because they probably had the better technique of all the other gyms that were there. No offense to any other gyms over there. But they understood why I do things I do and why it makes sense and why I'm so passionate about Muay Thai, because when you go to Thailand, all those guys are passionate about Muay Thai.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry for talking so much, by the way.
No. Hey, this is why you're here, bud. And it's great. You know what? As an instructor, a teacher, being fully absorbed, I'm a ref, a judge, coach. It's on all aspects, and honestly, it sounds the exact same for you. And it's, this, no matter where we're from, it becomes a brotherhood, sisterhood of, we all speak the same language, right? Yeah. And that's why it's beauty. We're brought together through fighting, and it sounds like you're right up that alley. I have a question too about your fights. Now we're gonna come back there. We'll touch back a little bit later on. When you fought Cody East, I watched that one, and it got dropped. I think it was in the first or second, I forget. His second round. Yeah, you got dropped. Now, I had you, even though you had a slow start in the first, I still had you win in the first just slightly. I kind of give the first away anyways to anyone, but I could have gone either way. So I had you in the first, and then I had Cody, obviously with the knockdown, that's a 10-8. But then I had you, if it could have gone either way with the first round, but then I had you the last three anyways. So, I mean, at anything, it could have been a draw. How did you feel? Did you feel that it was Cody's? Do you feel that because of that knockdown, you had to fight harder to win? How was it? I mean, in my eyes, I had you up on the scorecards, and it's not because I was going to have you on the show. It's, I truly believe it, right? How did you see that, and why?
Yeah, it's funny. A lot of people saw it my way. I don't know if people are biased because they're my friends or whatever, or family and students or whatever. So I don't really pay attention to that stuff, but I did go back. I don't really watch my fights very often, but I did go back and watch the fight a few times. The first round I gave to him. Second round I gave to him. He definitely 10-8'd me in the second. He clipped me. I went to slip. I've slipped like that before. He just was just long enough to clip my chin. I wasn't hurt. If you notice, he doesn't even really come forward afterwards because my eyes are still there. I'm not really too worried about it. Mm-hmm. He actually hit me harder in the fourth. It almost got me, but I stood my ground and covered up real hard. And he was just so tired he couldn't really finish. But I thought I won the last three, so it could have been a draw in my opinion. I raised my hands always at the end of the fight, whether or not I would lose. I thought I won. I thought I did enough with the cut to go after the cut a lot. Savage, I think it got in my head a little bit. Like when I cut him, I'm like, I got to keep cutting. I got to keep going after him. Instead of just fighting technical Muay Thai, I was just trying to finish. And I think that was my own demise. After the fight, I went and shook his coach's hands, and they all said congratulations. And then they raised his hand, and they looked around and started clapping.
Yeah.
So it was
a little clapping.
Yeah, they were like.
Yeah.
He's a really good dude. I love Cody. I mean, for an MMA guy to come over to Muay Thai, he's a good striker anyway. He used to got taken down in UFC when he fought in UFC. He's a good striker. So I was excited to fight him. He brought in a different energy than Muay Thai. Like we were talking about the respect in Thailand. Like when we go to fight Muay Thai at weigh-ins, we value each other, we show respect. He wanted to get in my face. He wanted to push me. And then pre-fight, all this stuff was trying to angry, yelling in the background. I was like, bro, we're gonna punch each other for 15 minutes. Just relax, bro. But I just love Muay Thai, so I was excited to just that fight, honestly. And I'm glad I lost early at that fight, so I could kind of reassess everything and know what I did wrong. Mm-hmm. And we worked on a lot of stuff after that, keeping my hands high, slipping with my chin down, and not always attacking the head, looking for body shots, looking for legs. And,
which we did with the Bosnian Bomber. I believe the finish was with a knee to the body. Very savage, yeah?
It was actually, so I hit him in his liver a lot and started making him drop his right hand. So the knee was going to his stomach. That's why I'm flat-footed. Yeah. At the last second, I curved it up because his chin was caving down. So it went like this.
I see.
Just up the chest. So it looks like a body shot, but it actually hit him right on the chin. And when it hit him, I didn't think it was that hard. I think he was already collapsing from the liver shots I threw. Yeah. I think that's what kind of did it. And, I mean, that dude was jacked, and he looked good. So I was excited. When he fell, I was like, oh, he's going to have a tough time getting back up. And then he didn't get up, and I was very happy because I won the fight, and I could ice my leg afterwards.
Yeah, because he did land a couple of legs.
Oh, man. I'm not going to lie. I've never had crutches after a fight. I had to wear crutches for 3 days.
Yeah.
It was hard to walk. My leg was this big. It was like elephantitis in the thigh. Yeah. I just kept foam rolling it and out. And it was just hard to walk. Yeah. I remember going to teach in class and trying to show a move. And I was all right, I need a new student to come here and show the move for me. It was tough, but I was excited. I got to play. So.
Yeah, definitely. Poking holes in the gas tank. It's always
always. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
One more small silly question before I throw it right back to my co-host there. Bazooka Joe nickname. Now, training up here in Toronto, obviously, the beautiful Bazooka Joe Valtellini.
I was first.
I know. I
turned pro first.
that was my question. Does it irk you that he had no, I not irk you, but you know what? It's a beautiful name. Obviously, it's a great name to have, but why? Because of the knockouts of the what was it? A cannon arm. What made Bazooka Joe the nickname?
We were training one day. I was doing it. We had I used to fight 185, which is the craziest thing in the world. It became about like a weight cut for me. So we had 3 guys on the same card from my gym, all at 185. So we would be sparring together. I ended up hitting a teammate with a knee, just kind of like not really meaning to, and he fell over and woke up. I was like, damn, he hit like a bazooka. And I was like, what? And then that was in, I want to say like 2008. And I was already professional since 2006. And I mean, just people call me different names. Like some people call me Big City. I look like big country, but big city because I'm from the city. Some people call me Giant Baby because when I shave my head and shave my face, I look like a baby. I'm like, people call me whatever they want. As long as they remember me, that's all that matters. And Bazooka Joe Valtellini, though, is a savage. And I'm glad to have his nickname because he put kickboxing on the map, and I'm going to put Muay Thai on.
Beautiful. Excellent. I love it. Steph, right back to you.
Very nice. So Joe, you were supposed to fight Terrence Hodges a couple of years ago, but that fight actually didn't end up happening. Tell our viewers why that bout was canceled and if you feel more prepared this time around.
So I was actually in Thailand and I was supposed to fight Tyler East, Cody's brother, just because they wanted to rematch with Cody. And it didn't happen. And Tyler East was supposed to fight. And then he didn't clear medicals or he wasn't allowed to leave the state. I don't know the full – I don't get into it. I don't really care. I just wanted to fight. And Terrence took the fight on 5 days' notice. And I was literally flying home from Thailand. And I was like, yeah, I'll take it. I just want to fight. I already sold like 100 tickets. So it's hard to give people back their money in ticket sales when you're so close to the fight. So I was about to fight, and then the athletic commission was like, oh, you're 35, need a new medical. Well, I'm literally in Hong Kong airport for an 11-hour layover. By the time I got home, it's Wednesday. I have to weigh in and have my medicals turned in Thursday morning. I couldn't book a neurological exam in time, so the athletic commission pulled it. So we went to the fight. I met Terrence. The athletic commission actually said that they probably would have let us fight anyway, but that was obviously after weigh-ins. So, it is what it is. Terrence is really good. I never really watched tape on him before that fight. I was just going to go fight. Like I fought dudes like they're like, hey, I want you to fight like a guy in Syracuse on 3 days' notice, and I was like, all right, cool. I didn't know anything about him. I just said I'll fight, and I do that now. I let my coaches take care of camp, the tape versions and stuff for me. I focus on myself during camp lately. When my guys fight, though, it's opposite. When my guys fight, I watch tons of tape, trying to break down their tendencies and why they do certain things and what gym they're from. So I look at the gym that they're training at and where they went from Thailand or what style Dutch gym they trained at or whatever. So I can kind of see their movement and what everybody really does. I did watch Bosnian Bomber fight, and he was not anything like the style of New Era Combat Sports originally, so that threw me off immediately. But that's why I don't really watch tape, to be honest with you. I just focus on myself, and I just love to throw elbows, and that's why I love Muay Thai so much, because in MMA, when I would kick or when I would knee or elbow, the guys would just shoot takedowns on me, and I'm sprawling, and you get a heavyweight wrestler.
Yeah.
It's really hard to get someone off.
It's a different game.
It's just I'm not trying to get pregnant on the ground from them humping my leg. So I'd rather just stay on my feet and have a good time. So and get a punch in the face is fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to be in the sport to think that, though, I think. No. For sure.
100%.
Obviously, you're a heavy hitter. I love watching heavyweight fighters, and I'm sure I'm not the only one. But how would you describe your style?
Ooh, technical KO fighter. I don't know. I mean, I don't.
Yeah,
I
I've seen a few of your knockouts.
Yeah, I try to always go for a knockout. I feel like people want to see that. It might be a demise of myself, but I always want to showcase great Muay Thai. Like when I fought Cody, I tried to go for the knockout, and you saw I lost, right? So if I had just stuck to just traditional Muay Thai while he was moving around, kicked him a little bit more, looked for some teeps to really push him around. Like round 4 for me in that fight, round 4, I was kneeing him and sweeping him. I should have just clinched him because he had 0 clinch. I don't think a lot of, I guess, Falangs have good clinch unless you train with like a clinch gym, in my opinion. So working a clinch, I think, is very important here. We work clinch here as not to clinch, but to defend the clinch because that's not really our style. But I'm a little bit opposite than my guys right now. I've been training a lot of clinch because a lot of heavyweights, when you can wear down the arms and make them tired, their arms seem to drop and open up some head things.
Elbows.
You know what I'm saying?
So it sounds like that's what we can expect from you. We can expect you to go out swinging, like giving it your all, dropping bombs, elbows, knees, kicks.
I'm throwing jump hook kicks. I'm throwing spinning kicks. I'm going crazy. I'm going to throw cartwheel kicks if they allow it. Most states banned it after I did it. You know what I mean? I'm going to go crazy. No, I just want to showcase good Muay Thai, to be honest with you. If I catch a KO, great. I would love a KO, obviously. Sells tickets, puts fans in the seats, and gets Muay Thai more popular, more recognition. But if I go out there and I win the decision by great technical Muay Thai, sweet. I just know I'm going to win on March 12th.
Exactly, and then you're moving on. So
yeah, yep.
One step closer to the goal. Hey.
Yeah, that's the goal. That's always been the goal, is to win a title. And I have one title I won with that cartwheel kick, and I was very excited to actually get a title. I've had a couple title fights in MMA that I never really wanted or whatever. It'd be too close decisions or split decision losses. Winning that Muay Thai title for me was kind of everything. I gave it to my trainer, and he cried and then gave it back to me. He was like, hang it up at your gym. You deserve it. And I was like, no, it's our title. So now with my guys, it's like when I win this title for Line Fight, it's our title. It's not just mine. It's ours. They made me who I am. My trainers, my students, my teammates. Sit-Yatong, like I'm just so blessed to have all these people around me right now and pushing me and make me feel good. And everybody's behind me. Almost brings a tear to my eye, but I'm not going to cry on camera.
But having a support system is so important.
Yeah,
I mean,
for sure.
Sometimes it's the difference between a win and a loss. I was having a conversation with Cody Krill. There's a UFC fighter who didn't make weight, and he's being dragged through the media. Can't remember his name right now, right off the top of my head. But we were saying, like, there's a human factor. Like, a lot of people forget that, like, fighters, martial artists are human. So, like, we're all, open to error, and having like a huge support system to help you through like obstacles, like not having a gym or not having constant pad work or having to cut weight and eat rabbit food for months, like you need someone in your corner at home as much as in your corner in the ring.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I have an amazing family that we support each other no matter what. They've been around.
Yeah, you're a dad too, right?
Yeah, I mean, my kid he's 9, so now he understands winning and losing. Before, when he would just watch me do MMA fights and I lose, he'd be like, it's okay. You're still my dad. You're still my hero. You know what I mean? And now he's like, better not lose. Don't lose. You better knock this guy.
Is he like pumped for you to be on TV?
Yeah, I mean, he watches the next day because usually I fight pretty late. So, and he does Muay Thai, he does hockey, he does basketball. He's trying every sport this year. It's like, let's do it everything. Let's get exhausted, see what happens, what sport you like. So hopefully he likes Muay Thai, fingers crossed. But if he doesn't, it's okay. He could be a band geek, play the tuba. I'll still go to every marching band practice and every whatever. And so I'm like, yeah, let's go with signs up there. Best tuba player ever. You know what I mean? Like, I just want him to know that I'm there for him. My real father was never really in my life. He was in and out of prison, doing drugs, whatever. My stepdad was in my life. We had a hard first like 15 years. And then kind of just, I grew up and became an adult really, really young and did my own stuff. And senior year of high school, I was on my own, working 40 hours a week, going to wrestle in high school, doing schoolwork, working sometimes two jobs, depending on what I had to do, paying rent at another apartment just to make my own thing. Like, it is what it is. So now having so many people as my family support me and my students, and I have people reach out to me from high school that I haven't talked to since high school. Like, we're almost 20 years. I graduated. I'm like, who's this? And what? You've been watching me my whole career, and now you're reaching out to me? Like, where you been? You know what I mean? So it's really awesome to see. I think it's great that it's Muay Thai, not just MMA. Everyone thinks MMA, oh, UFC won championship. It's like, let's put Muay Thai on the map and show why I think it's the best sport in the world. There's no ground fighting, so no one can get upset when they go, stand them up, stand them up. You can throw elbows and knees and punches and kicks to the face and body and legs. It's amazing. And I just can't wait for people to like understand, like, I think heavyweights are going to do that for people. Like, oh,
Yes.
it's like the little guys fighting where they're like super technical and like everything's perfect. The heavyweights, sometimes they just slug it out. That's okay too. We need to sell tickets. We need people to love Muay Thai and want to build our sport in all facets of life. So, I mean, for coaches, we want students for making money. And as fighters, we want people to put their butts in the seats so you can see the fights and grow the sport. So I'm on both sides of the fence right now. I'm just happy to be on both sides. I can jump back and forth. It's a really small fence for me though, because I can't jump too high.
That's okay. You can cartwheel kick, so you got that down.
Yeah, for sure.
Sounds like you're a really big advocate for Muay Thai. That's definitely something you and Matt have in common. So Matt, I'm going to throw it over to you and let you riddle off another question to Joe.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. It's nice hearing. I have had the pleasure of fighting. My dual sport is kickboxing and Muay Thai. As in here in Canada, Muay Thai was very underground and didn't actually get a amateur organization until I think it was like 2015, 2016. Kept on getting shut down. So kickboxing was always a go, but Muay Thai is a passion. It's so amazing for so many. I love hearing about how your students and my question was, and I mean it already may have been answered, is your inspirations, because honestly I've been hearing it from you a lot of the talk of your students and how you've come together as a team, which sounds very much like the style in Thailand, how they train together, they eat together, they watch movies together after training's done. What's your inspiration right now, and why?
So other than like my family, my students supporting me, I was an MMA guy, so I used to take MMA fights, and it's hard to sleep the night before fights, so I'd watch YouTube and I'd watch like H.E.R. And my favorite fighter for MMA is Kid Yamamoto, he was a really good Muay Thai as well, a good wrestler. I don't know if people know that he was at really good Muay Thai, but he fought Muay Thai a few times. He's a great wrestler as well. So I was watching him, and then Nathan Carnage Corbett actually came on a highlight, during looking through my phone. I was like, oh, Fedor, Nathan Corbett. I'm like, who is this guy? And I clicked it, and I was already using Muay Thai, but not really having a Muay Thai coach. I had a couple friends who did Muay Thai or whatever. And then after that, I watched his highlight, and I was like, oh my god, I need to just focus on this. Mm-hmm. And I found a career partner, and we kind of took in the Siatong style of everything, keeping everything together as a team. We had pro training sessions. We were all doing MMA fights at the time, but we were all pro training together. We'd all go get lunch together. We all come back and teach classes at nighttime and then train again together. It was just a little bit of a family. And then we all started broadening our own things, now have our own gyms. But that kind of helped me out. And Nathan Corbett gave me, he wanted me, it made me want to do Muay Thai. I've always been a coach at heart. I think I was supposed to be on this world to be a teacher. Mm-hmm. I should have went to college to be a teacher, and I didn't, whatever. But now I'm teaching now. But I coached high school wrestling for about 8 years. I'm not a great wrestler. I'll be honest with you. but I can relate to people very well and put things into terms for people to understand.
Mm-hmm.
So when we get football players, we're doing a double leg. I'm like, all you're going to do is do a football tackle, but put your head on the side so you don't break your neck. And the guys are just doing double legs. You know what I mean? Like, just looking at that. And my mentor, Tim Casey, he's my wrestling coach. He really molded me to become, I think, the man I am today. My grandfather died when I was so young, and he was like my dad. So when he passed away when I was 15, I went down a bad spiral. And Tim Casey, he actually brought me up, and like, I got kicked out of high school and had to go to a new high school. And he like took me under his wing and was like, you're going to do this every day. You're going to be with me every day. And then, you know, I just did whatever he told me to do. And then when I graduated, I really just wanted to help him because he was busy having a brand new baby. And, you know, being kid on the way after having a brand new baby already. And I was like, all right, I'm going to be there for you. So I started coaching and finding ways to make people relate to things. And he really molded me to do that. And then meeting Eric Garner, and then having my old jiu-jitsu coach, Jimmy Morrison. That guy could teach how to do the worm if you needed to. Like, he was just so good at teaching and breaking things down as well. So I just took everybody's little style and created a family atmosphere here in my gym. Like I said, we don't have a ton of fighters here. We have a couple guys. When they want to train together, we train together. Yeah. Right? Everybody has to get each other better for fights. Mm-hmm. We go eat a lot on Saturdays after training. It's our last hard day of the week. We go get food together at a Thai restaurant. We hang out. COVID's been a little sucky because we can't really do that right now, but usually we do. And then all the fight team, they actually have their own Call of Duty thing, and they all play together every night for like an hour and just talk crap to each other and play Call of Duty. And the next day, they yell at each other for playing Call of Duty. Whoever lost first has to do extra push-ups. Just things like that to make us all a family. And I think people see that when they come in our school, that I care a lot about people. And I also give my gym, I don't keep a lot of numbers. Like, I don't want 100 people at my gym. I know that's a great money thing, but I feel like I can't focus on that many people as me as just one coach. Like, I have other guys who help me out, but I want to make good Muay Thai. I want everybody to be happy about Muay Thai. So I want to teach good details of things. Yeah. So I'm trying to keep it small, and I think we're doing a really good job with that, and people see that and understand that. I've had a really good like retention rate, they say, of keeping people with me for a long time. Like, I've had guys with me for 5 years, 6 years. Yeah. Like, they followed me from other schools, and then I have new people who just started last week. Mm-hmm. So it's cool to see that, and I think it rubs off on everybody that I'm very passionate about what I do, and I'm passionate about teaching and growing Muay Thai and just growing people's life in general. It is. So you can talk to someone outside of school, not about Muay Thai, and they can relate to you. I think that helps out a lot as well. So
you're speaking my language. It's being a mentor and a coach and affecting so many different people's lives. You have something else to fight for. It's a passion. It's man. When I used to fight, I was fighting for my coaches because they changed my life, and then now I have all my students, my 3 kids, and I got a whole team behind me, and it's a different fight. You become a different fighter. I'm a different fighter.
Totally.
Maybe older now, but I'm definitely. You're speaking my language there. It's the language of fight of Muay Thai. That being said, of fighting and dreams and having things, I never ever would look past the fight ever. But is there a dream fight for you? That's something that tickles your fancy, someone that you just love to step in? Doesn't matter what weight class, whatever. Just a fun dream fight.
I would fight anybody, and I don't really care. I just like to fight, and that's the God honest truth. Like, I don't have a problem fighting anybody from 125 pounds up. I just think it'll be fun no matter what. But there's a buddy of mine in Thailand named Stephen Banks. They call him the Panda.
Oh, I trained with Stephen Banks.
he's a good friend. He's a good buddy of mine. Yeah. We were supposed to fight 3 or 4 times. And every time the athletic commission would just we both fought MMA, so I would lose 1 or 2, and then he would win 2 or 3, and then be vice versa. So the athletic commission was like, no, it's not going to happen, and it just never happened. He just has that style that makes me want to just have fun and play and fight. Like, he fought Yassine Brueggemann, and that was one of the best fights I think I've seen for heavyweights in a long time. Mm-hmm. And I really didn't know anything about this person, but Landon Knowles is ranked number 1 in the world at heavyweight. Now that Yassine went down, and he's from England and he's a banger, and I think that would be a awesome fight. If I could fight, I'd fight Ethan Corbett though. Don't tell myself. I just think like as a Muay Thai guy, seeing him make me want to do Muay Thai, it's like fighting like your idol.
Yeah.
I think that would be amazing as well. And I'd also want to fight Samant or Bayakun. Just the way his technique is so good. Like I almost guarantee I'd lose that fight with Samant. But just like being in the ring with him and seeing how he moves his footwork in person and how he teaches you in person would be very eye-opening and change your life. So I would really love to fight Samant as well.
It's all amazing. It's funny, Stephen Banks, he had that the fight circus. He fought the three guys at once.
He knocked one out in like a minute and 30, so it became 2.
And he has the bare knuckle boxing is going to Thailand, and he's going to be fighting on that card. He's those are some. Hey man, that is a great card. I think I'd like to see you guys throw it down. I think he's the WBC title holder right now, is he not?
He lost to Yassine.
Did he? Yes. Okay.
COVID and everything shut everything down.
Yeah.
And Yassine actually lost. I think he lost like 100 pounds.
Holy jeez.
Or like 75 pounds, something like that. He looks great. Yassine does. And he can fight. I think he fights at he can fight at 210 or 190 is what they're looking at.
Wow.
And he was really good at heavyweight. So I would like to see how great he does at 210 or 190, cruiserweight or whatever. So we'll see how that goes. But Stephen Banks, I think, is ranked number 2. Landon Knowles is ranked number 3. And then the guy who's fighting the main event the night of me, Stephen Walker, I'm pretty sure is ranked number 3. So I'm excited to watch him fight too. He's very good, man. Steve Walker's he's awesome.
Guys, I don't know how, but an hour has passed, so we're getting our little 2-minute warning. I know, it's crazy. It flew, honestly. You're a really fun guy to chat with. And me and Matt are definitely going to be tuning in, and everyone else should as well. March 12th, get a case of beer, watch Joe's fight. There's a couple other fighters I want you to look out for. That's Andy Nugent, Cody Carrillo are also fighting March 12th, so everybody tune in. This show can also be heard on the Spanglish Radio Network. The H.E.R Network is part of the Spanglish World Media Network. Please check us out at spanglishworld.ca for all your news and programming. Spanglish World. Watch it, hear it, read it, download it, live it. Thanks so much, Joe. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Guys, thank you so much for having me. I had a great time tonight, and I hope I'll see you guys again soon. We'll get to talk again after I win March 12th. UFC Fight Pass. Tune in.